Happy Palm Sunday to those that celebrate it. Happy Sunday to those that don't. Welcome to this episode of Blood Talk Quick Takes. It's beautiful Sunday morning, April 13th, 2025. I'm your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the spring-like, cloudy, and somewhat chilly confines of Lansing, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. You can check the Blunt Talk Sports podcast out on YouTube, Spotify, Substack, Patreon, and as well as on Podbean. Now, if you're looking here exclusively on Podbean, you will get the Blood Talk Quick Takes episodes. Those are exclusive to Podbean. And before we go any further, guys, into this episode, like I said, I thank you guys for being with me on this Sunday morning. But I want to get into some of the friends of the show and make sure I give them a shout out. First shout out I want to give to is the number one and number two leading ticket seller and reseller in the world. So if you're looking for concerts, tickets to concerts, live events, shows, games, anything like that, definitely check out StubHub. Now with StubHub right now, there's a big promotion going on for Coachella. So if you're looking to get to Coachella or Lollapalooza, I would definitely tell you to check that out within the description of this video. Also, there's tickets in the UK right now for a lot of events going on right now. A lot of soccer matches, some tours, some rock bands, American rock bands touring over there in the UK right now. Great time to get out in the spring to check out some events with a loved one or friends. So definitely check out StubHub and Viagogo. And last but not least, I also want to make sure I shout out PlayStation Direct, a new member, a new friend of the show. I want to make sure I give a description there. So if you're looking for more ways to play, the best ways to play, definitely check out PlayStation Direct. I'll have a description and a link in the video for certain bundles and certain package offers that they have. So if you're looking to get your game on, looking to play some games in between that downtime of the day or within the future, definitely check out the show. I have links to PlayStation Direct where you can shop there directly and get any of the PlayStation things you need, games, accessories, whatever. Now, popping into this episode, guys, I want to make sure that we got that out the way. But getting into this, this episode is going to talk on NFL and NBA related material. Today, technically, is the last day of the NBA season. The Eastern Conference is already locked up from the information I saw this morning, but the West still has a lot of things going into it. My Sacramento Kings, especially, looking to get into the play-in tournament, a lot of things to dive into there. So I got some NBA content I wanted to get into, and definitely some NFL content. We're going to start per the Athletics, Dane Brugler. If you guys haven't had a chance to check it out already, I implore you to. Dane Brugler, excuse me, wrote The Beast, which is an annual article that he does every year around draft time. It's a very extensive article. It goes into the top 101 prospects, in all the positions and guys he thinks maybe sleepers, things like that. I implore you. It's a great article. It's very lengthy. If you're a football nut, you love drafts or mock drafts, things like that, it's definitely the article for you. But getting into it, I love the article. There was a lot of great things that he touched on. A lot of the top players, the rankings, and based off the information we have from college and going into the combine. So there's a lot of things to unpack. However, I wanted to touch on my potential sleepers from reading that extensive article, and I wanted to touch on a few positions like quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end that I think are possible sleeper positions and players I think you need to keep an eye on going into this year's draft, which is less than 2 weeks away now, which is crazy. Getting into it, quarterback. I like this guy coming out. I was a fan of his game of the past couple of years. Dylan Gabriel of Oregon. I think he is a very efficient passer. I think in my opinion, he's a taller, more accurate Kyler Murray. He's not as fast as Kyler. He doesn't have the running ability that Kyler Murray has, but he is a good decision maker. I like him a lot. I like what I saw from him at the Senior Bowl, the recent Senior Bowl. He played well. And I think he's going to be a good quarterback. So he's definitely a person to keep an eye on. Maybe a mid-round pick, somewhere between third and fifth round, but I definitely say keep an eye on this guy. Running back Jordan James from Oregon as well. He, to me, is a burner, a guy who can definitely create space. Darren Sproles-ish or like in that regard. But I definitely think Jordan James is going to be an underrated pick wherever he falls. It could be second round, could be third round, could be fourth round. However, within that second or fourth round, I definitely see Jordan James coming off the board. This wide receiver, I won't lie to you, my fellow Eagles fans that are listening this morning. I'm kind of hoping the Eagles get this guy because I like his intangibles and what he brings, but he may fall to a team that desperately needs him. And that's wide receiver John Beck out of TCU. I loved a lot of Jack Beck. Let me preference that. Jack Beck from TCU. I loved a lot of his tape. I watched a lot of his game film throughout the season. I watched him in the Senior Bowl. Tough athletic catches. He's not necessarily a burner, but he's a physical possession receiver. He's someone that you can't sleep on. I definitely think he's going to be a star in this league. Not sure where he falls, but I definitely think that he's going to carve a niche for himself. And last but not least, a name that you have not really heard like that, but I definitely think that he's definitely somebody that can make a name for himself. That would be tight end Harold Fannin out of Bowling Green. He's ranked ahead of Gunnar Helm from Texas, which should tell you something because Gunnar Helm was a pretty good tight end. He's not ranked as the best tight end. I do believe he's ranked behind Ferguson, if I remember correctly. He was ranked behind Ferguson from Oregon as far as tight ends, but definitely somebody I think big body, big hands, big possession style of tight end that can even play out in the slot too. Definitely an X type, definitely a special weapon that I think could definitely enhance any offense that he goes into. So if you get a chance, definitely check it out. Like I said, he went over pretty much every position, but those are my main sleepers that I think that you should be aware of heading into this year's draft. And the next thing we wanted to get into was the Jets. We're heading into Florham Park, New Jersey, in Jets world. New Jets quarterback Justin Fields spoke on being benched in Pittsburgh, and he dove. It was great to finally hear from Justin Fields. You know, he had signed a while ago, but we really didn't have an idea, what exactly happened. We kind of knew, but didn't really know. I mean, there was a lot of things that Justin Fields touched on, and it was crazy because in his quotes, he said, Justin Fields said, I was put in a place being a backup where I wasn't in my entire life. I try to have a different perspective on it. Russ has been in the league for a long time. I learned a lot of great things from him and got to learn a different perspective of things. It was different for me in a space where I wasn't really comfortable. But at the end of the day, Coach Tomlin made a decision he thought was best for the team, and I'm never going to go against that. He claims that the Tomlin benching last season didn't automatically factor into his decision to resign with the Jets rather than the Steelers. I think that's bullshit. When you're 4-2 and you're playing at a high level, the highest level you've played at in your career, and it seems to me that like a guy was predestined to get the spot. And in all fairness, I'm not saying that Justin Fields is this all-world quarterback. He's an amazing athlete, one of the best running quarterbacks in the NFL. However, I do understand that he is limited as a passer. That being said, the Pittsburgh Steelers offense towards the end of the year nosedived because there was no threat to worry about the run. And we all know Russell Wilson is hella limited as a passing quarterback now. So it's just a lot of things where, things just did not work out, the way they should have, in my personal opinion. We all know it was well documented that Arthur Smith, who's the offensive coordinator for the Steelers, did not like Russell Wilson there at the quarterback position, wanted Justin Fields to be the quarterback. And he's not great. I won't say that Arthur Smith has a great record as a quarterback whisperer, but he does have a record of restoring guys' careers and getting them to play at a higher level. So it's different. It's different. I'm excited for Justin Fields stuff. I mean, the ball is in his court. This opportunity for him to win and win at a high level is there. I expect him to show up and to show out. He's playing with Garrett Wilson, who's a guy he played with at Ohio State. I do think they're going to draft the tight end. But I also feel, too, this doesn't put them off the board of not drafting a quarterback. I think the drafting a quarterback is still very much in play. But the ball's in his court. They're going to give him every reason and every asset needed to be successful. So this is all on Justin Fields. I'm glad he's getting this opportunity. I do feel that he was dealt a raw deal in Chicago, but nonetheless, this is going to be an amazing opportunity for Justin Fields. I'm excited to see what is going to be in store for the Jets this season. And in another piece of very, very important news, tjwatt was sending out cryptic messages that had Steelers fans in an uproar. For those of you that hadn't seen my video, definitely check out my show on YouTube. I went into it. There's also links and articles within the description of that detailing the whole issue. But that's why I'm here today, guys, to give you a little background on it. tjwatt had sent out a cryptic tweet a couple of days ago from checking the news, which led to a lot of speculation on what his future would be with Pittsburgh. In my personal opinion, after reading everything and breaking it all down, this is about money. tjwatt is not stupid. He saw Myles Garrett and Max Crosby both secure long-term extensions, both over $40 million average annual, salary range. So he's not dumb. He's not dumb. He saw that $40 million a year. He and Michael Parsons both knew. They were looking at their chops like, okay, it's game time. It's time to get paid. tjwatt has been the best defender for the Pittsburgh Steelers for the past 5-6 years. He took the mantle. I feel he took the mantle after Ryan Shazier got injured. He's been that guy. He has more sacks than Myles Garrett. So I completely understand it. And then you see the fact that, and I don't even think it's just the Myles Garrett, Max Crosby issue. I think it's the fact, too, when you pay a guy like DK Metcalf that type of money, he's not a Steeler. He's a guy coming from outside the organization, and you paid him that much money, you got to take care of your guys that have been leaders and pillars of the community and pillars of the franchise. I mean, TJ Watt, if left up to him, if left up to Pittsburgh, he will be in that Cam Hayward light. But make no fucking mistake about it. If they don't fucking pay him, he's gone. I completely see a situation where he can ask for a trade. And, I saw someone that left a comment on my post saying that he could possibly go to Arizona with, do like his brother did, or, he can go elsewhere. There's a lot of places where teams will give up a shitload of things, assets, picks, players, whatever, to get TJ Watt. If the Steelers are smart, get this resolved quickly. Last bit of NFL news I definitely wanted to touch on. This one was actually low-key NFL news, but I just wanted to bring it to you guys because I've been kind of following this guy since he left San Francisco, and that'd be Treylance. Former top 3 pick in the draft is now, after flaming out with the 49ers and then spending a season being a 4th-round pick being dealt to the Dallas Cowboys for him to go there, and not working out in Dallas as Dak's backup. Treylance looks like he has found some stable ground, and now he is a Los Angeles Charger. He will be backing up Justin Herbert. I think this is a great opportunity. Real quickly, for just want to comment on this for Treylance. I think it's a great opportunity for him. I think Jim Harbaugh's tutelage as a quarterback will help him a long way. Jim Harbaugh, we all forget he had Colin Kaepernick. When he had Kaepernick, let's just say Kaepernick, that was the best football he had played, in his life. So that being said, I definitely think this is a guy he could possibly develop. It's interesting to see because we do know that Justin Herbert does get injured as well as he plays, and sometimes due to injuries that he plays through, whether it's ankle, foot, elbows. He's had a litany of injuries. Having Treylance there and having him behind a good quarterback and then a quarterback's room where you can really learn. Because no disrespect, outside of San Francisco, I don't feel the Dallas Cowboys really had a good quarterback room. And when you have a head coach, again, McCarthy, known for quarterbacks, you got Schottenheimer, who was like the coordinator / consultant, who's now the head coach. So they have a record of offense. But however, McCarthy doesn't have a history of being a quarterback whisperer or grooming guys for the position. And ultimately, Treylance, I really feel like outside of last season where he got some opportunities to play, he never really had a legitimate chance to really take hold of a position outside of San Francisco. Could be accuracy, could be breaking down the playbook, whatever. But I'm very interested to see if this guy ever manifests into anything, even at least a backup quarterback. So shout out to Treylance, happy for him, looking forward to his future, and hopefully he can blossom into something, into a good player, and legitimize his career. And last but not least, we're going to get into the NBA news. The biggest news coming out, obviously I touched on some of the players up early, starting on this episode, but I wanted to touch on the Phoenix Suns officially missing the postseason. This downright has been fucking one of the largest, most expensive, probably the most expensive flop in recent NBA history. For the salaries these guys are getting, for the attention and fervor that these guys garner, whether trade or, whatever the rumor mill starts going for any of these guys potentially leaving teams or where their rank or status is amongst the Pantheon greats. This is the biggest flop of KD and Devin Booker's career. Now, some people will argue that Brooklyn was a flop. I would argue that Brooklyn was contending, outside of KD's big toe being on that 3-point line against Milwaukee. That was a major difference in that series. That being said, this is the biggest flop of KD's career. I would even give him a pass off being up 3-1 against the Warriors a few years ago and losing that series. This was the biggest flop of his career. He has to ask for a trade. I think that if he doesn't ask for it, I think the Suns need to ask for it. Not because of his play. I mean, he's still a great player. He's still a walk-in 20 points a game, 25 a game. The issue is they don't have anything. Assets-wise, they suck. They don't have the necessary requisite draft picks that they need to really rebuild this roster. So you gave up Mikal Bridges. You gave up Landry Shamet. You gave up a lot of good backup players and role players. Your bench essentially for KD, and it cost you. So you have to wash your hands of this and call this an abject, absolute failure. Going further, what the hell is going to happen with Bradley Beal? He refused to remove that no trade clause. Refused. He refused to do anything that he needed to be able to be in a different situation. So his mindset is benefiting him, which completely I applaud him when I understand. It's not about benefiting the Suns. That being said, you got to figure out a way to get off that contract. Figure out a menial situation, a buyout, something. You got to get off that contract. He is not even close to the same player he once was. And it leaves me last but not least to Devin Booker, who may give this team another season. I honestly believe, because I believe he's loyal. I believe he loves the franchise and he loves the team. But, his quotes, I mean, talking about slow bleeding out and not feeling like the team was really ready this season. And I'm gonna be honest with you. When you say that your team starts off 8-1 and you think that y'all might have gotten ahead of yourselves and that's the first 9 games of the season, that's bad. When you say that this was a slow bleed out, you were waiting for the season to end, that's indicative of a lot of things. And it just really shows that this team was never really ever a legitimate threat to do anything in the Western Conference. Matt Ish was saying that, early in the year, a rebuild was crazy talk. Well, I want to see if he feels the same way now. Cause this was beyond a fucking flop. I mean, horrible, horrible. Next, we're going to head to another tragic situation, which would be the Denver Nuggets and the fallout from the Michael Malone, Calvin Booth relationship. Ultimately, I already documented this. I spoke on this in a previous video, but I wanted to touch on the ramifications of why Michael Malone was there. And if you guys hadn't already known, Michael Malone had been a coach with this team for 10 years. He won a championship 2 years ago with this team, first championship in franchise history. Much lauded, well respected, well regarded coach. However, I know this because I'm a Sacramento Kings fan. He had a previous reputation in the franchise that he was at of kind of burning guys out. Whatever that, wherever you say with that, however you feel about that, it is what it is. That's his coaching philosophy. However, him and Calvin Booth, from what I read in these articles, they hated each other. They really did not like each other. They didn't like each other's working style. They tolerated one another to the best of their abilities. And essentially, it put Nuggets ownership in a weird situation where they had to make a decision. And essentially, when you read here, essentially, the Cronkies, who are the team that owns the Nuggets, they had to make a very, very painful but necessary decision, which was neither one of these guys are more or less doing what we need them to do to stem this tide and to quell this fire. It was well reported that one of the issues that Michael Malone had was that, a guy like Russell Westbrook, and I swear it's unfair because Westbrook's going to start getting that label as a coach killer. But you start realizing that it sucks because Westbrook plays with an effort and a tenacity that most coaches love. Most coaches want that on their team. They want a guy who plays that hard, who plays at an MVP style level. However, Russell Westbrook, flaming out a week ago, missing that layup in that crucial game, some of the low losses they had, it just put them in a very bad situation where they felt like ultimately and I really feel this way because I played team sports. You do have some guys on the team that are just lazy asses. They don't watch film. They don't really work on their craft. They kind of just go with the flow. And essentially it put the Nuggets in a situation where they had to figure out what the fuck was going on. Why is it that this team, who is a championship contender, who is a team that's literally put themselves in top 3 mode to win the West, now all of a sudden they're a middling team. They can't figure out how to make layups. They can't figure out in-game decisions. Guys are arguing with one another. Practices are fucked up. It was crazy. And then per the Athletic, it says the Cronkies, league sources say, were influenced by the Memphis Grizzlies, which go figure here, with recent choice to fire Coach Taylor Jenkins. There was a shared belief in their logic, this notion that resetting with less problematic leaders right before the playoffs might spark something special in the weeks and perhaps months to come. That's fucking stupid. That is fucking stupid. How in the hell do you think firing a coach a week before the playoffs start is going to inspire or incite? Do not expect the Grizzlies or the Nuggets to get out of the first round. And if they do get out of the first round, it is a blessing to God, because God knows when you sit here and you fire your leadership before a major playoff run, you fired a championship coach who has won you a championship, who has shown you this, who has gone through this process already. You fired him. And for what? Because of disagreements within philosophy. It just seems like to me you need you separate the wheat from the chaff. You need to figure out which guys, and it's going to happen for this team in this offseason. You need to figure out what guys are really there and what guys are there just to say, hey, I'm a basketball player. Because clearly some guys have checked the fuck out. I think it was fairly obvious some guys have checked out. And last but not least, we're going to hop into Dwight Howard, who is soon to be Hall of Famer. Dwight Howard will be in this actual Hall of Fame class going into the Basketball Hall of Fame this year. He is actually going to just sign on with Ice Cube's Big 3 League, which I'm ecstatic to say. I actually watch Big 3 games. They're very exciting. It's good to see NBA legends, playing half-court basketball, still showing some of that ability. It's definitely entertaining and great to see. The big three has definitely come on in the recent years. So I definitely want to give a shout out to Ice Cube and those guys over there. I love what the big three is doing. But nonetheless, Dwight Howard will play with the Los Angeles Riot. He's an 8-time All-Star, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Just amazing to see a guy like that going over to the big three. It just adds some name, profile, and cachet. And it's just continuously showing that this league, unbeknownst to a lot of people, is really a threat to the NBA. And I don't mean necessarily on the TV market deals or the major aspect of they're going to garner millions of viewers compared to what the NBA garners. Not saying that at all. However, what I will say, when the NBA is when Adam Silver is secretly trying to block guys from going to that league or that league from being seen on television, that clearly tells me that this is a clear indicative threat. And that the product is definitely better than what you're offering. So shout out to Dwight Howard, shout out to Ice Cube and the Big Three. Definitely interested to see him playing for the Los Angeles Riot this year. And that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Again, enjoy your Palm Sunday for those that celebrate it. For those that don't, enjoy your Sunday. If you're at work or just enjoying the day off, I thank you and love you guys for always watching and listening. Take care.